My name's Simon. This is for BikeSocial. This is the launch of the KTM 790 Adventure and Adventure R, and this is Morocco. So what we have here are two models. We have the standard Adventure and we have the Adventure R. Now these bikes have been a long time coming, so you're probably familiar with the spec already, but a quick whistle-stop tour of what these bikes are about. Now they're entries in the middleweight 94 horsepower market, which means they're A2 license compatible. These are distinguished by the 21-inch front wheel, which gives them a kind of an off-road, much more of an off-road capability. But it puts them in line with things like Honda's Africa Twin, BMW's F850 GS and GS Adventure, and also with Triumph's Tiger 800 XCA. Now, let's talk about prices first of all. The Adventure starts at £11,100 and the Adventure R is £12,000. Now that is cheaper than all their rivals. If you spec up the BMW, it ends up more expensive than these two. What we've got is a 790 Duke engine, detuned to 94 horsepower, down from about 105, but it's got more torque, so it makes more bottom end. Basically, it's the same kind of frame as the 790 Duke, slightly different, but obviously it's got this travel styling. So we've got a 20-litre fuel tank, which quite famously is slung low down here, basically because there's nowhere else to put it. And the differences between the two bikes, the Adventure R comes with, for the extra £900, special WP suspension, which is fully adjustable, and a fully adjustable WP rear shock. So the standard Adventure is 830 millimeters, I think, but it's a lot of adjustment there. You can go as low as 800, you can go up to about 880, whereas the standard Adventure R is 880 as it is. Other differences, apart from the suspension between the two bikes, the Adventure R comes with a rally mode, which is a bit like a sport mode on a sports bike. So it gives you the sharpest throttle response and the most power. We've also got a taller front mudguard, a shorter screen, and a single seat. Now all these items are interchangeable between the two bikes, so you can pretty much spec them as you want. But we've been for a ride this morning. We've been off-road yesterday on the Adventure. We've been on-road yesterday on the Adventure. We've been off-road on the Adventure R this morning, and I'll tell you all about it shortly. So, first impressions, I'm on the tall seat setting as well. So we've got low screen, tall seat, and if you can tell by the clocks, we're in street mode. So it's full power, full throttle response. We've got ABS on its standard road setting. We've got traction control on. So this is pretty much as it would come out of the crate and how you'd expect to ride it most of the time. Got to say, it's already fabulously light. You can tell this is easily the lightest of the class, lighter than the Africa Twin, the 850 GS, and the Tiger 800. The steering is delightful. It just wants to steer where you want it to go. It's just really good. I mean, the 790 Duke is an impressive bike. It really is. It has exactly the same characteristics as this, to be honest. Really good fun to ride. But the only problem with it is, I mean, wonderful as it is, there is something of the toy about it. It's just a little bit, I don't know, disposable. It's not disposable, but it's a plaything. It's so playful. It's maybe lacking a little bit of sort of serious attitude, and that was one of the things I'm keen to see with the Adventures. I want them to be substantial but not heavy. I want them to be spacious and roomy but not heavy. It is spacious, it is roomy. With the seat on this tall setting, already my legs feel absolutely perfectly positioned. Let's just slip through here, follow this chap. I'm not used to this kind of riding environment. It's all new for me. I'm sort of working on the principle that if the lead KTM rider doesn't fall off, I won't fall off, which kind of works on tarmac. I'm not going to try that off-road tomorrow, that's for sure. Foot pegs are in the perfect position. They really are. With this seat, the foot pegs have got, there's plenty of knee angle, it's nicely distanced, but they're also nicely rear set, which sounds again like a crazy thing to say with an off-road bike, but they really give you that kind of I don't know, it's like a 790 Duke. That it's like a naked bike riding position, really. It's very, very. What's the word? It's very dominating. It's very active. It's aggressive. Not aggressive, but it's certainly not passive. It's in there. You're riding this thing. Again, that's another thing about KTMs. They're not exactly bikes that you can sit back and relax on a lot of the time. They're not easy-going bikes, and that's a good thing because they're exciting and fun and thrilling. But you know, do you always want that? Do you always want to be thrilled and excited, or sometimes you just want to switch your brain off? And that's another question with this. Can you just switch your brain off? I'm not overtaking there, dude. Good luck with that. And this lorry's going for it. Well, see you later, fellas. Is there anything coming? Can we? Yeah, we can sleep past there. There's a fair old amount of wind noise and buffeting coming off that screen. I think trying it in its tool setting might be a request that we make. Well, we can't make it tomorrow because tomorrow we'll be riding the Adventure R with its shorty screen. That engine is lively. You know what? They might have lost 10 horsepower, but they haven't lost it from 4,000 RPM. It feels like it's got more. Well, it has got more because it's got more torque lower down. And you can feel that too. Yo, dude! Well, that was that. Jesus Christ, I'm deaf now. I should have put earplugs in. That is the loudest screen I've ever heard. Well, first impressions. That's a 790 Duke in spirit. In fact, it's a 1290S in spirit as well. It's got that same kind of gangly, loose, everything's going on kind of feel. It's extremely comfortable. I could ride that a long, long way. The leg position, especially with the seat on its highest setting, the foot position and the hands spread apart like that, it's just perfect. This screen, is probably going to need looking at. And the handling's got that same kind of agility, it's got that same kind of constant busyness. It's always active, it's always doing something. It's always on the prowl for the next corner. But it seems to track stably enough. And that's for that super 20 litres of fuel sitting down here. Chris Birch was saying one of the things is you can't tell the difference between it being low and being half empty and being full. It still has the same kind of effect. And there's a lot of fork dive going up the front there, as I noticed. When you just gently touch the brakes, they're so powerful, it really bangs it down. But that was an interesting ride. I could do with more of that. I wish we had all day of that. Right, let's see what's going on. You're about to go for a 200-kilometre off-road ride on the 790 Adventure R. Let's see how we go on.
Case now for sure will be much easier, but was not some other way.
So we're back after a whole day off-road, done a couple of 100 kilometres and on the Adventure R, and reached some kind of a verdict. It's not entirely conclusive. I think the one thing we can say is that this bike here, for a so-called middleweight adventure travel bike, is exceptionally gifted off-road and can do things for a mere mortal that perhaps you might struggle to do on something like an Africa Twin or a BMW F850 GS or the Tiger 800 XCA, the KTM Adventure R's main rivals. So what are its good points riding off-road? Well, its weight was a good point. It's extremely light, or comparatively light anyway, which always makes things easier. The low down central gravity from the tank, I thought it might be a problem in things like sand and loose surfaces, but it didn't seem to be. It seemed to make the bike steer quite nicely. It was quite easy to ride. The low seat height, comparatively low seat height, definite advantage to be able to get feet on the ground when you want to sit down and paddle through sand. And there was a fair bit of that. Brakes were a little bit sharp. The Adventure and the Adventure R both have 320mm discs instead of the 310mm discs on the 790 Duke. Now the official reason for that is to get clearance from the spokes, but there was some criticism of the 790 Duke's braking. The 790 Adventure and the Adventure R have got very strong brakes. I don't think there's too much to complain about there. The suspension was fabulous, nothing touched down or bottomed out, apart from me once or twice. So all in all, if you want an off-road capable adventure middleweight, then I would definitely go out and buy the KTM 790 Adventure R. Or even the KTM 790 Adventure. It's still probably more capable off-road than its rivals. But, and it's a very big but, I've got a sneaky feeling that we haven't done that many miles on the road, and one of the things that makes an adventure bike good on the road is its ability to just chew up miles in comfort. Because let's face it, a lot of us do a lot of miles on motorway to get to the places where the riding's really good. And if you're doing that, you just want to sit there, stick your cruise control on and go for it. Now, I got a sneaky feeling that if you do more of that style of adventure riding, then maybe you want to look a bit closer at the F850 GS, GSA, the Africa Twin Adventure Sports, and the Tiger XCA, or even, you might start getting down into the actual kind of real road stuff with the XR series of Tigers. Because, and I'll tell you for why, the KTM can't help making bikes that want to, well, race for want of a better word. Ready to race is their motto. And there's a lot of get up and go and pizzazz and get on with it. There's agility in the steering. There's a lightweight feel to the bike. It's constantly on the move, never unstable, but just always egging you on. And the engine, the 790 Duke motor, we know it's a fantastic engine, even with 10 horsepower taken off the top end and a bit more torque, and it's all kind of retuned for the mid-range. It's still a feisty, funky thing. It still wants to get up and go. So, that's great if you're in the mood. If you're in the mood, you can't beat what KTM deliver. If you're not in the mood, you certainly can beat it. And I guess it's kind of up to customers to decide what kind of riding they want to do. I mean, hell, it's great we've got the choice. You can not only can you buy multiple middleweight adventure touring bikes, but you can buy them with a different character. You just have to decide which one you like. But definitely, if you have a more sporty bent, and you definitely have a more off-road bent, and you want to get on with it, and you want to get going and get a move on, then it's kind of hard to beat, especially at the price. I mean, you're talking for the Adventure R, 12 grand, cheaper than Africa Twins, cheaper than Tigers, cheaper than F850 GSs, and £11,199 for the Adventure, the base model. There's nothing really, I don't think, that comes awfully close. Mostly because we haven't actually ridden the Yamaha Tenere 700 yet. Now that might be a bit of a difficult challenge for KTM. But anyway, there it is. 790 Adventure R. So you can read more on www.bikesocial.co.uk, where you can get the full review.